What is going on, college basketball fans? Today we are back with our updated Dannyology Power 35 rankings. I'm ready to get started. I just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button if you guys enjoy. And make sure you guys go comment on my community tab if you guys have not already. Drop your hot take for the college basketball season because that video is going to be coming out on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that and get your hot takes in by Monday night. So without further ado, let's get into these rankings. All right, so our top three are staying the same. UConn looked pretty dominant against their win over Xavier. I mean, looked absolutely amazing. It is looking like they have a legitimate shot at going back to back, being the first back to back champions since Florida back in 2007. Like, they legit have a shot. I love this team. Tristan Newton is playing outstanding at the point guard position. I'm a big fan of Alex Caravan. I think that he has been killing it. Donovan Clingan has been playing great ever since he returned from his injury. They have a lot of depth as well as last year. Some good shooting. Maybe not quite as good as last year as far as their depth and their shooting, which is their main strong points last season. But they are definitely a contender, and they are playing outstanding right now, staying here at number one for the third week in a row. Next up, we got Purdue staying here at number two for the third week in a row, and Purdue is also playing very good basketball. They got a solid win against Rutgers today on the road, and that has been a very tough place to play, not only for Purdue, but just anyone in the Big Ten. But Purdue has definitely had their struggles there in over the last couple of years. They went in there, got the job done, finished it. I think that that's a good win, and they had a pretty good week this week as well. So Purdue still coming here at number two. I'm a big fan of Lance Jones. I think that he is the missing piece to this team that they needed last year. I think that is going to be a huge help, along with everybody else having another year of experience. This Purdue team is dangerous, and it's very possible they could pull a Virginia from 2019 and go from losing to a 16 seed to winning the national championship the next year. Definitely possible. They are playing outstanding ball. Staying at number three for the third week in a row, we have the same top three for 3 weeks in a row now, North Carolina, and it is just so clear that these three teams are the top three teams in the country right now, in my opinion. Houston has definitely made an argument, especially playing in the Big 12 Conference, and we're racking up 4 conference wins in a row there, and some of them being in dominant fashion. They just have an outstanding defense, as they usually do, because Kelvin Sampson is just an excellent head coach. But I believe UConn, Purdue, North Carolina, clearly right now the top 3 teams in the country. North Carolina is still undefeated in ACC conference play. I think they might actually, are they the only team as far as the Power 6 conferences still undefeated in league play? I think they are, because Purdue, UConn has lost a game. Houston has definitely lost, I think, 2 Big 12 games. Yeah, I think that they are. So North Carolina, the last team undefeated in league play in the Power 6 conferences. Very impressive. I mean, they're playing good ball. RJ Davis is playing like maybe the player of the year in college basketball. Like, he might be the best player in college basketball. Not even exaggerating. He is absolutely killing it. Big Harrison Ingram guy. I think they have a lot more depth than they had in from last year and even the year before. Whenever they were able to make it to the national championship game, they did not have very good depth. Much better depth. Hubert Davis has himself a squad. They're playing outstanding. Easily my number 3 team here. Number 4, kind of talked about them a little bit. Playing very good on a 4-game win streak now in the Big 12 Conference. Up 2 spots here from number 6 to number 4. They have an outstanding defense. Just great depth. I mean, just what you would expect from a Kelvin Sampson team. And LJ Cryer is just a stud. Jamal Shed is a playmaking machine. This team is very dangerous, and joining the Big 12 Conference has not slowed this team down whatsoever. They're here at number 4. Number 5, staying at number 5. There's just not really room for them to move up. I felt like Houston has been playing like the better team, and they've played harder teams. And Tennessee 2-0 this week. No reason to move down. Playing very elite ball. I mentioned R.J. Davis as Player of the Year. If it's not him, it might be Dalton Connett, who is absolutely killing it. Tennessee playing outstanding. This may be Rick Barnes' best team at Tennessee. I'm just going to put that out there. It could be. Next up, number 6, we do have Wisconsin up 4 spots from number 10 to number 6. They only have one league loss in Big Ten play, which is very impressive because over the past few years, it has been very hard to find a team in the Big Ten that has been consistent. And right now we got Purdue, who does have 2 league losses, but has been pretty consistent as of late. And Wisconsin, who is being very, very consistent, which is pleasantly surprising. I mean, I'm glad to see it. They're killing it. They have a lot of good wins on the season. And yeah, I think AJ Storr, very underrated transfer player for them this year, who has been killing it. They have a lot of good players in the front court as well. I like this Badgers team. They're up here at number 6. Also up 4 spots from number 11 to 7 is Marquette. They got 2 wins this week. They're starting to build back up to that Marquette team that we saw at the beginning of the year that we thought was a top 5 team easily. They went on a little bit of a cold streak there, up and down, inconsistent, but they look to be back. Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, still one of the best backcourts in the entire country. Yes, they did lose was his name Sean Jones, who was, I thought, going to be a key piece for them off the bench, but they still got Stevie Mitchell. They still got Iguodaro. Solid squad. Marquette is up here at number 7. Number 8, we do have Texas Tech jumping up 9 spots this week from 17 to number 8 into the top 10. 2 very, very solid, impressive Big 12 wins, and they are 6-1 in Big 12 play, sitting atop the league by themselves. The only team that has less than 2 league losses in the Big 12. Very, very, very impressive week for Texas Tech, going on the road to defeat Oklahoma, a very good Oklahoma team. And yeah, they are looking great. I love Pop Isaacs, and I love Joe Toussaint. I love Joe Toussaint when he was on the West Virginia Mountaineers, which is my favorite team. I'm supporting him on Texas Tech. I love him, and yeah, Texas Tech looking very solid. They're up 9 spots into the top 10 this week. Also up to the top 10 this week, we do have another Big 12 team who has been lights out this week, and that is Iowa State. 2 solid wins at home in the Big 12, including a win over the Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, Hilton Coliseum, other than Allen Fieldhouse, is the hardest place to play in the Big 12. You could argue Texas Tech's court is hard as well. I would say Hilton Coliseum, then probably Texas Tech's is 3rd in the Big 12. So many hard environments to play in this league, but Iowa State still undefeated at home this year, and they're up 12 spots, getting 2 solid wins this week, and they're here at number 9. Number 10, we do have Creighton having a very good week this week. 2 more wins for Creighton. Other than that loss to UConn on the road, which was a campus game for UConn, so kind of an understandable loss there. They are my number 1 team the past 3 weeks. Other than that, Creighton's been pretty consistent, getting some solid wins. They're up here at number 10, up 8 spots. Number 11, we do have Kansas dropping 3 spots after going 1-1 this week, including a loss on the road to Iowa State. They're dropping out of the top 10 here to number 11, dropping 5 spots out of the top 10 from 7 to 12. We do have the Kentucky Wildcats taking a loss to South Carolina, which is actually a pretty underrated team. And if South Carolina can stay consistent this week and get a couple of wins, they are going to skyrocket up my list. As you can see, they're joining the rankings this week at number 34, and Kentucky is really the first team that they beat this year that is like really notable. So I'm going to take it with a grain of salt here. If they can get, and have an undefeated week this week, pick up another good win, they're going to skyrocket up this list easily into top 25 next week, probably in the top 20 if they can do that. Next up, we do have Arizona. They took a loss to Oregon State. It just seems like this team, Arizona, they're so head and shoulders above everybody else in the Pac-12 conference. I don't even think I have another Pac-12 conference team ranked this week. I did have Utah ranked last week, but they lost twice, so they had to fall out. They're now in my teams to watch, but I don't have anybody else in the Pac-12 on here other than Arizona. They should be dominating every team they play, and sometimes they do. Like, for example, the Colorado game, beat them by like 45 points. And I'm not saying they should win by 45 every game, but they should be dominating this league, and it is kind of worrisome. Arizona just can't stay consistent in a very weak Pac-12 conference, and it's tough because they have some really good non-conference wins, and they can be blowing teams out. So the potential's there, the roster's there, the talent's there. They just have to stay consistent. Number 14, we do have Duke jumping up one spot, and yeah, I know they went 2-0 this week. They were 15 last week. They're jumping up to 14. I just really don't think this Duke team is all that great. I mean, I like Tyrese Proctor. I like Kyle Filipowski a lot, but I don't think this Duke team is really that great. So they're only jumping up one spot. I think they got bailed out by the refs against Clemson in Cameron Indoor Stadium, where they only won by 1 point. Very questionable call there at the end of that game. I think they should have lost. I think they got bailed out, and their other win this week was against Louisville. Like, Louisville, really the worst team in the Power 6 conferences. I mean, maybe DePaul might be worse, but definitely bottom 5. No, Duke's not jumping up. They jumped up one spot here from 15 to 14. I just can't see them being above teams like Arizona, Kentucky, and Kansas, especially considering they lost to Arizona, and I think they lost to Kansas too, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Duke, they're 14 right now. Number 15, we got Utah State staying, killing it in the Mountain West Conference, and they're up 9 spots here from 24 to 15. A couple of Mountain West teams jumping up here quite a bit. Right behind them is New Mexico, which I love. Love this New Mexico team. I think I could see a lot of Mountain West teams. One of these Mountain West teams are definitely going to make a run this year in March Madness. I said that last year. I did not expect San Diego State to make it all the way to the national championship game, but they did, and they look damn good doing it too. But New Mexico, they could have that potential, man. They could have that potential. They're another team like Iowa State, undefeated at home this year. Another amazing atmosphere with the pit. They have outstanding guards. 3 very outstanding guards that can just get you a bucket, man. They just destroyed Nevada in the pit by the 30, almost 40 points. I just finished watching that game before I started recording this video. And yeah, they're up here at 16. I could argue, they could possibly be higher. I mean, I think that they're that great, but I think 16 is a good spot for them this week. Number 17, up 14 spots, we do have TCU getting a couple of very, very good wins in the Big 12 this week, and they had to jump up pretty far. They're playing outstanding. Got a triple overtime win over Baylor this week. I mean, just absolutely killing it. Number 18, dropping 6 spots after a loss to Northwestern this week, but still getting a win this week as well. It's a very close game against Northwestern. Not going to knock them too bad. Illinois, I still think is a very solid team. They're only dropping down here to 18, staying in the top 20. Number 19, jumping up 6 spots, we do have San Diego State. They only played once this week, but they got a dub. I think they're a very solid team. Ton of potential still to keep moving up for them. They're here at 19. Number 20, not ranked last week, all the way jumping up to 20 is Northwestern. They were in my teams to watch last week, but they are up here at 20 this week after 2 very solid wins. Not only getting a overtime win against Illinois, but then absolutely wally stomping on Ohio State this week as well. They look very solid. Next up, 21, we do have the Dayton Flyers dropping 7 spots, staying in the top 25 though here at 21. They just got beat by Richmond. Tough place to play there in the A10 conference. I did not even necessarily realize Richmond is undefeated in A10 conference play. I thought Dayton and then like St. Joseph's were like very solid teams. Look out for the Richmond Spiders, man. They're definitely a team that is always going to be sneaking around, and the A10 can always have a bid steal, so look out for Richmond, man. They got a dub over Dayton at home this week. Next up, we do have FAU jumping up one spot this week. I just feel like they're not playing that great of basketball right now, but they did catch a couple of dubs. They are jumping up one spot, and they're up here at number 22. Baylor accidentally messed up on the graphic. Looks like they're not staying in the same spot. They dropped, I think, 8 spots around there. They were in my 15 to 17 range. I think around 15. So they're dropping about 8 spots. They didn't stay the same. That's a mess up on the graphic there by the graphics guy. And yeah, they are dropping down. They went 0-2 this week. I think they're on a 4-game lose streak. And it's tough. I didn't want to drop them too far because they did go to triple overtime with TCU. That's a tough loss. But a big losing streak is the best way to find yourself falling all the way out of the rankings. They're here at 23 this week. I feel like this is a good spot for them. Let's see if they can bounce back and get a dub. Next up, 24, our biggest faller of the week. We do have the Auburn Tigers. They are dropping from number 4. That's right, they were my number 4 team for I think 2 weeks in a row. And they lost at Alabama. And then they go to Mississippi State and lose as well. 2 hard places to play. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're not. They definitely are. And theirs are 2 solid teams as well. But Auburn really, start looking at who they play, they just haven't really beat too many great teams. But they are an amazing team. I still think they're a top 25 team. They can easily get back up to where they were if they can bounce back and start winning some of these big games, especially on the road. It's just tough, man, and when they haven't beaten anyone so far. But some teams that they have beat, like Ole Miss, Arkansas, they just absolutely destroyed them, man. Like, beat them bad, like 30, 40 points. So, like, Auburn is definitely potential for an amazing team. They definitely have a ton of talent on that team, man. But yeah, they're dropping down here at 24 this week. Number 25, dropping 12 spots. Also going 0-2 this week. We do have the Oklahoma Sooners. A couple of losses there in the Big 12 conference play. Still staying in the top 25 here, but they're going to have to pick up some W's here. BYU here at 26, dropping 6 spots from 20 to 26. Took a loss this week to who they lose to? I think actually Houston. They took a loss to, but it was at home. So a tough loss there. Not going to drop them too bad for that because Houston, very solid team. And yeah, BYU staying here in the rankings at 26. Number 27, jumping 3 spots, going 2-0 this week. We do have Gonzaga trying to sneak their way back into the top 25. A couple of weeks ago, they were out of the rankings for, I think, 2 weeks in a row. And now they're starting to climb back in it, starting to play better. So Gonzaga up here at 27. They definitely have the coach. They definitely have the roster. Let's see if they can get it done, man. 28, we do have the Providence Friars. We had them ranked earlier in the year. I think all early in the year they were ranked in my Power 35. But then they went on a little cold stretch there. They're starting to turn it back up now. And they got a couple of 2 very, very solid wins, including a win over their former coach in Ed Cooley, which you knew that was going to be like one of the best atmospheres of the season. Definitely one that I had to make sure I watched. I mean, Ed Cooley's return to Providence, they absolutely hate him for leaving them for the Georgetown job. So, yeah, Providence starting to play very good. Was on a cold stretch. Bryce Hopkins got injured. Starting to get things back rolling again, and they are here at 28 after not being ranked for a couple of weeks here. 29, dropping 10 spots is Seton Hall. It does make sense because Providence did just beat them, and Seton Hall did lose 2 games this week. So I still think they're a very solid team. And yeah, they're here at 29. Next up, we do have number 30, also jumping up 3 spots, like Gonzaga, their West Coast Conference rival. we do have St. Mary's. They're another team who has had a big turnaround. Start of the year, they had a couple of good wins, but then it looks like they weren't very good, and now they're turning around, man. What a turnaround it has been for the Gales. They're back up here at number 30, and they're going to keep climbing if they keep winning. Number 31, jumping up one spot from 32 to 31, we do have the Appalachian State Mountaineers, and App State swept James Madison on the year now, which I think is huge for the Sun Belt. I'm a Sun Belt guy. I cheer for the Marshall Thundering Herd, as most of you guys know. So I keep an eye out for the Sun Belt. And Appalachian State, James Madison, definitely the two best teams in that league, and Appalachian State just swept them. So they definitely deserve to jump up at least one spot here, and they are staying in the rankings at 31. Number 32, we do have the Alabama Crimson Tide, not ranked last week, but they are actually starting to turn up a ton, including a win over their rival there in Auburn. Great atmosphere it was there for the Tide. Number 33, we do have St. John's. St. John's, I believe they are a top 35 team. They've had some rough patches, some very close games in the Big East. They just got to get it together here. Number 34, we do have South Carolina, not ranked last week. Got a big win over Kentucky. They have a very solid record. They just haven't really played anybody yet. If you guys wanted to put them anywhere from, I'd say like 24 to 35, I would be fine with it. I feel like they're rangy because they haven't really played many teams, but then they just beat Kentucky. If you wanted to put them all the way up, like maybe even above Auburn, I would be fine with that. I just feel like I need to see a little bit more from them. If they get another couple wins this week, don't take a loss this week, they will skyrocket up these rankings all the way into the top 20. I can guarantee you that. And then 35, we do have Grand Canyon. They took a loss a couple of weeks ago, which knocks them out of the rankings, but starting to win again. I love their roster. I think they're one of the best mid-majors in college basketball, so they're jumping back into the rankings here. Teams to watch, we do have the Memphis Tigers, who fell out of the rankings this week. They were in my top 10 like 3 weeks ago, which is insane. And now that they are falling all the way out of the rankings, and yeah, took another hard loss to UAB, and they're on a 3-game losing streak to 3 not very good teams. And yeah, it's tough. They can get turned around though. I really hope they do, because I like that Memphis team a lot, and I'm a big fan of Penny Hardaway as the coach. Indiana State, they were on my teams to watch last year. They went 2-0. Couldn't really find a spot for them in the rankings this week. But yeah, they're killing it in the Missouri Valley Conference. Let's see if they can keep it up. Colorado State. Colorado State was in my rankings last week, but they lost 2 games in a very tough Mountain West Conference. But definitely a team to keep an eye out for. Kansas State, another team, took a couple of losses in a very, very tough conference. They were ranked last week. Utah, 2 losses in the Pac-12. Yeah, that can't happen. They fall out of the rankings, but still a team to keep a close eye out on. Also, Colorado, they're not listed as a team to watch, but definitely Colorado with a good week could potentially sneak into the rankings next week. Michigan State was in the rankings, finally making it back in, but then got beat up by Wisconsin on the road. Wisconsin is a very good team. Don't want to take that too much away from Michigan State, but they do have to fall out of the rankings here. Still going to be a team to watch. Nebraska, they got mollywopped by Maryland. Maryland, you could say, is another team to watch as well. But Nebraska, just going to be one of those teams in the Big Ten that's just going to be super inconsistent. And usually those teams that are in the Big Ten Conference, I like to stay away from picking in March. I like to pick them as first round, or at best, round of 32 exits in March Madness. Nebraska is definitely going to be one of those teams for me. Butler, a team to watch. They're starting to turn up here recently. I like them a lot. I think that they're starting to be better than Villanova this year. Villanova is starting to kind of not look good at all, and Butler's turning up. Definitely a team to keep an eye out for. Princeton was in the rankings last week, but then they took a loss to Cornell. Very tough loss there in the Ivy League for them. It's going to be tough for them to get back into the rankings now after that hard loss. Cincinnati's a pretty solid team in the Big 12 conference, just kind of overshadowed by a lot of Big 12 teams and taking some L's. It seems like they go 1-1 every week, and they're always in my teams to watch. Can never quite get over the hump and get into the Power 35. Wake Forest got destroyed by North Carolina, but yeah, I still think Wake Forest is a solid team. They're definitely like a bubble team for me, probably, as far as March Madness goes, which kind of sucks, man, because I feel like Wake Forest is always a bubble team, and they can never quite get in. So I'd like to see them get in, but it's tough, man. That's a tough loss. They lost bad to North Carolina, which says a lot of good about North Carolina as well, my number 3 team. Next up, we got Richmond. I feel like they deserve a mention here after beating Dayton. They're undefeated in 8-10 conference. Definitely deserve a mention here. Nevada, even though they just got destroyed by New Mexico, I think they deserve a mention here. They're another great Mountain West team. They can definitely turn things around and be a contender in that league. Next up, we got Ole Miss and Mississippi State, 2 teams in the SEC that definitely have potential to be a Power 35 team here soon with a very solid week. So that's going to do it for the Dannyology Power 35 rankings for this week. Let me know what you guys think about my rankings. Who's too high? Who is too low? Who do you think got snubbed? Let me know down below. All that in the comment section. And yeah, guys, be on the lookout for my hot takes video coming out tomorrow. Power rankings, this video should be up Monday morning. Hot takes should be out Tuesday sometime. So get your hot takes in on the community tab on my YouTube channel in by Monday night. Is when I am going to record that. It'll be uploaded on Tuesday. So yeah, guys, subscribe for more college basketball content, and thank you so much for watching.